Aloha and Merry Christmas. My name is Jason Jones, and I'm the president and founder of the Human Rights Education and Relief Organization. You know us best through our two programs, the Vulnerable People Project and Movie to Movement. Our mission is very simple: to defend the vulnerable from violence by promoting human dignity and by inspiring solidarity. Now, our organization is a little different than most, especially most organizations of our size. We do not have a development program. We do not have one person, not even one, whose job is to fundraise. It's something that we all do. But this makes me a little insecure sometimes, and I worry if we don't express our gratitude enough. And of course, expressing gratitude to our partners is fundamental to promoting human dignity. And so what I want to do today is just give you a little snapshot of the work that you have made possible. Of course, this is our busiest week of the year. It's an intense couple of weeks for us as we are in the middle of our Coal for Christmas campaign. I hope you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, we are not subcontractors for Santa Claus delivering coal to naughty boys and girls around the world. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. Our Coal for Christmas campaign is where we deliver coal for heat to Christians and other religious and ethnic minorities across Afghanistan, and also to our former Afghan allies that we have in safe houses. And so last year we supported 30,000 families, and our goal is to do even more this year, and this winter is even worse. And inflation obviously and food shortages are impacting Afghanistan even more than they are the rest of the world. In Afghanistan, 90% of Afghanistan is experiencing hunger. 50% are experiencing extreme hunger. And as you can imagine, the Christians are the ones that are suffering the most, along with other minorities like the Hazara. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg of our work in Afghanistan. We just dug a canal to protect a village that kept flooding. We have built a women's medical center. The Taliban forbade women and men to go to the same medical centers. So overnight, that meant women really didn't have access to health care. So we built our first women's medical center. Our goal is to build 99 more centers, set up 99 more centers in the next 12 months. Now, these aren't super hospitals, these, that you're used to, but these are medical centers. These are places where women can go, where we have doctors and nurses, and they can get health care. On top of that, we, of course, are maintaining our safe houses for religious minorities and our Afghan allies across Afghanistan and in Pakistan. We're evacuating people to neighboring countries still every week. We're also aggressively working to permanently resettle migrants. And this is actually, believe it or not, the toughest part of the job. The toughest part of our work, which Marilis, our diplomatic liaison, is focused on, is making sure once we evacuate a Christian or a former Afghan ally to a neighboring country where they're safer, but it's not someplace they can stay forever, we get them permanently resettled somewhere else. This is the toughest part of our job. And you may think, okay, Jason, it's amazing what you do in Afghanistan. What are you doing at home? Well, at home, of course, we have Divided Hearts of America, the movie we produced with Benjamin Watson. It was exclusively on Fox Nation, but now it's on platforms, streaming platforms, so many streaming platforms. So there's just no way you can miss our great film, Divided Hearts of America, that looks at how abortion is fundamentally, that the denial of the dignity of the human person that we saw in slavery and segregation and abortion, it's really at the root of the division in our country. But we're also working around the world with other vulnerable communities. VPP, through our Olive Grove program, it's where we nurture and found new organizations to go do very important work that we don't want to dedicate that would just take all of our energy. They actually need their own organization. We partnered with former Green Beret Ryan Hendrickson to launch Tip of the Spear landmine removal. And Ryan has been working in Ukraine. In fact, he's in Ukraine right now and wants to spend Christmas Day in Ukraine. He said he'll come home later in the year, but he wanted to make sure on Christmas Day he would be in Ukraine removing landmines, so that initially it was to clear the farms, and now it's to those areas where Russia has retreated, and now children are. It's still littered with landmines. So Ryan, a former Green Beret who lost his legs to a landmine, is committed to protecting civilians' lives and limbs. After 26 surgeries, he had his legs reattached, and he's a real hero. We have vans running full-time, delivering food and medicine across Ukraine, partnering with religious orders and a group called Solve Care to shelter the most vulnerable young girls in Afghanistan. In Africa, we launched a new program called the Vulnerable Parish Project. Our goal in 2023, we just launched the program 8 weeks ago, it's to secure Catholic parishes and communities that have been exposed to Islamic extremism, to give them physical security and food security. We've secured 8 parish communities. We're again, Our big, hairy, audacious goal is to do 100 parish communities in 2023. Of course, I've appeared in media relentlessly. You may have discovered our organization through Steve Bannon or through EWTN News Nightly. I've been speaking constantly around the world. I've given 2 speeches in Washington, D.C. this week, a speech in Mexico City at Mexico City CPAC just a few short weeks ago. And in January, I'll be, of course, at the March for Life, and then later at the International Religious Freedom Conference in Washington, D.C. And then in the spring, we'll be in Europe, doing our work to promote the incomparable dignity of the human person and inspire solidarity with those vulnerable communities around the world that are embattled by war and suffering, genocide, and democide. The podcast, The Jason Jones Show, maybe you found us through The Jason Jones Show. It's growing. It's often the top 100 podcasts in the United States. But I founded The Jason Jones Show really to do the work of this organization. It's a place where I can always go and communicate the messages that we want to communicate. We're working with the Uyghur community, 3 million Uyghurs in concentration camps, doing slave labor for the CCP and also having their organs harvested. We're working very closely with the Uyghur community. But we also launched the FreeOurBishops.com initiative. There have been 7 Catholic bishops disappeared by the CCP. We're working to get their freedom. And we have some big initiatives that we're going to be launching in the coming weeks even to bring national and international media attention to the plight of Catholics as they're being abused by the CCP. Tens of thousands of Catholics disappeared. The most prominent Catholic layman in China, maybe one of the most prominent Catholic laymen in the world, Jimmy Lai, it looks like he may very well die in prison, and he didn't break a single law. Of course, I'm writing my regular column for The Stream, and just the past 7 days, I've had articles at The Stream, Epoch Times, and today I had an article over there at American Spectator. Also, I almost forgot, we're launching a new initiative in Armenia. The Christians in Armenia are being brutalized, and so we're going to bring attention to the plight of Armenia, and we've partnered with some Armenian organizations to do what we traditionally do, which is ghostwrite op-eds, policy papers, white papers, work with people of influence in government, in politics, and in entertainment, and media, and news, to make sure these causes are being front shelf. So look for the work that we're doing in Armenia in the coming weeks as well. That's the Vulnerable People Project. But we also have Movie to Movement. And Movie to Movement this year, I forgot how many movies we worked on. We worked on a beautiful film called Butter. It came out early this year. And our film Divided Hearts of America, obviously, has been streaming everywhere. I was in the film Doomed to Repeat It, produced by Doug Berry, a documentary on the horrors of the 20th century and how the 21st century is looking like it's going to be even worse. We bought out theaters across the country for the powerful pro-life film Life Matters late spring, early summer. We worked on the American release of the Spanish language documentary on the Eucharist. Beautiful, powerful film. I hope you saw it. It was in 750 screens, called Alive. And now we're working on a film, The Wind and the Reckoning. It's a beautiful film, a narrative feature film starring Jason Scott Lee. And just last week, it's on a leper. It's the true story of a Hawaiian Paniolo. Paniolo means cowboy. It was a Hawaiian cowboy who got leprosy, but refused. He resisted medical tyranny. He refused to go to the leper colony of Kalaupapa, and he led a rebellion against the young Republic of Hawaii. It's a powerful film, stars Jason Scott Lee. Well, there are still 5 patients left at the Kalaupapa leper colony, and we were able to sponsor a screening at Kalaupapa with David Cunningham and Jason Scott Lee for the patients. And that was a wonderful privilege for us, because the patients of Kalaupapa have been a wonderful model for us as an organization. As you can probably see, St. Damien is over my shoulder, and St. Damien and Mother Mary Ann Cope are examples that we look to emulate at the Vulnerable People Project, which we often say to our staff in our staff meetings. To be in solidarity with the vulnerable is to become as vulnerable as they are. And as Father Damien himself got leprosy just last week, one of our employees, or one of our volunteers, or one of our team members in Afghanistan, while delivering food and coal, broke his leg and needed emergency surgery. 3 of our volunteers early in the year were in a van. By God's grace, they're all okay now, although one of them was seriously injured, that was shelled by Russians as they were delivering aid, food and medicine near the front lines and bringing back women and children to Poland. And so that's something that we really understand in our work, is that when you are in solidarity with the vulnerable, truly in solidarity with them, you can become as vulnerable as they are. So that's just sort of a glimpse. In the new year, we're going to be securing lots of parishes in African countries that are being where the Christian community is suffering at the hands of Islamic extremists. We are committed to education. We have a new education program we'll be launching in Afghanistan. We will work to jump over every hurdle that is put in front of us to make sure we continue on with our education programs for girls in Afghanistan. And of course, we're going to shelter our Christian and Afghan allies and heroes and Hazaras until we can get them permanently resettled. We have some big films in development, and I cannot tell you about, 2 major Hollywood feature films that will be released in the coming months. And when I can tell you about them, I will tell you about them. Hills Like White Elephants, our short film written by Ernest Hemingway, powerful story on abortion, we're looking to produce later in the spring, and then next winter, about a year from now, we look to go into production on a film that I adapted, a script I adapted from O. Henry's Gift of the Magi. It's set today in Hawaii. Instead of being a young married couple, it's 2 homeless teenagers on the island of Oahu in Honolulu. So I cannot thank you enough that together we serve the most vulnerable people in the world. And the people we serve are not weak. These are very strong people who have been placed in impossible circumstances. And I say that the Pietà, we're coming up on Christmas, but the image of the Pietà, the image of Our Lady holding her Creator, the second person of the Trinity, Jesus Christ, across her lap, lifeless, is really what we do. We serve people that are stronger than us. They have dignity. They are moral. They are hardworking. They've just been placed in impossible situations. And we have the honor of serving them. They are truly our kings and our queens. And it's an honor to serve them. And you are what makes it possible. So I cannot thank you enough. I hope you have a beautiful Christmas. You'll see our little Christmas video we made for Cole for Christmas. Please share it with your family. Let them know what you've supported. Because people tell us they thank us. And it's embarrassing to me when people thank me. Because I didn't really do anything. You did. But I get the thanks. My team gets the thanks. But really, who makes it happen is you, our donors, and our Afghan allies and partners, and our partners around the world that do the really hard and dangerous work. So I tell my team, all we do is stand around and get thanked for the beautiful work our donors and our volunteer partners do around the world. So thank you so much. I hope you have a blessed and Merry Christmas. And from me and from the rest of the Hero team for Movie to Movement and Vulnerable People Project, we think about you. We're so grateful. We talk about how awesome our donors are all the time. And so, aloha, mahalo, mele kalikimaka from Texas now. We're no longer in Hawaii. Thank you very much.